Hey guys, happy Friday. So we've made it to this bit, which is trying to move the rollover stuff that we had. Where did we have it? Over here in Codepen with the little kitten. And we're going to need to put it back into our page here up the top. And we're going to use the actual images that we have here, the big ones. We're going to basically crop them. But I need to kind of crop them and make them small. And to find out how to make them smaller, what size, I kind of cheat, so I just do Command-Shift-4 if I'm on a Mac, and I can just draw a little square and it shows me the little dimensions down the bottom, so I can go, oh yeah, well this might be a 50 by 50 box, and that might work well. It just saves me having to measure things and take a whole screenshot and measure it over there, and then you just press Escape and you don't end up taking the screenshot. So when I go in here, I'm still going to make a square. I'm going to hold down Shift to make sure it's proportion, and I'm going to try and crop it, and I think I'll try and make it interesting, so I'll try and get his head like that. So what I'll do is I'll crop this first, and then I'll decide on a tighter crop, maybe like that, and then let's crop that again. Now I need to resize this, so I'm going to go into my image size, and with my pixels selected, I'm going to say 50 by 50. Do a reduction, click the OK button, and then we're just going to save that out as a PNG. I'm going to put that out into my images folder, and we're going to call this tiger button because it's my button at the top that we're going to basically set up. Let's just put this into frame so you can all see it. So we'll call this tiger button PNG, click save, and then let's get out of here. So not going to change the original. I'm not going to do the rest of them right now, I'm just going to do the one. And what we need to do is now get this code into this code, which is an interesting example. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you one thing. Yesterday when we looked at this, we had the box here changed to a specific color, and we changed that to a specific color, but we only did it on this elephant page, meaning that we only added this top bit there, but we actually changed the CSS file that's included in all the pages. So if I go back to the home page and then I have a look at the penguins page, what you have here is an example of the CSS changing this, but the home button here is still the ugly one, because I need to update the HTML on my penguins page to fix that. Same with the tiger page, I need to fix that, but the CSS comes across. So that's the benefit of having a CSS file that's external. These things are all linking to this external change that we made. But what we're going to do is now work on the HTML here before we copy this whole header with all the images into the other pages. So that's the challenge in front of us right now. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the Codepen pen. Now there's two ways to do this. One way is you actually just copy and paste these bits of code and you paste them into the right spot in the actual file. But what the other option is here, you can click export and do export zip. Now when you download that, what you're going to have on your desktop is a file which is, I don't have it on my desktop, that's awesome. Let's go in here, let's go to my downloads, there it is, move that to my desktop. So what you get is this downloaded file, which is a zip file, and then inside of that file, if you double click it, out comes a whole website, and this website has your index page, which is this thing with the kitten, it has your JavaScript file which we made, and the CSS file. So if I was to preview that over in my browser window, let's just have a look at that here. So let's just grab it and do this. You can see it all works beautifully. And even if I view the source, now you're seeing where all the code lives. So the style sheet is hidden in the style sheet file here, and that's where we have that image clip path thing, which is the same as this middle bit. And then what we have in terms of the image is being loaded here, so we're going to swap that for the tiger. This is all the HTML about the circle path. This is loading that animation thing called TweenMax, so we need that. And this is the index.js file, so if you click on that, it just has those little bits and pieces of code that we had over here on the right. So the HTML is a lot bigger, because the HTML kind of includes all of these things together, which is what Codepen, when you're working on Codepen, it's basically hiding that stuff. But now we can see it. They're all the bits and pieces. So now what we need to do is we need to decide what we're going to copy from here over into our actual Amazing Animals page, which we have over here. So what I'll do is I'll get Dreamweaver open, if I can find it. There we go. And inside Dreamweaver, we'll open up the elephant page. We'll go to code view, and we're just going to basically mess around in there. So we'll open up this. Great, let's just put this into view. And in here, what we'll do, if it opens and refreshes, doesn't like me right now. Let's go split design. I'm just impatient. There we go. All right. So you go code, and inside the code, you see we've got this doc type, HTML, head, meta. If we jump over to here, we have the same thing, doc type, HTML, head, meta. Then we have this title. In our page, the title is Amazing Animals. In here, it's SVG, clip path, and CSS filter grayscale, which we don't want. And then the next thing we have is this link href style CSS. And in here, we have style sheet, CSS. And then this is what's inside the style sheet. But when we go to our style sheet, we have all of these other bits and pieces. We have the font, we have the H1, the body, the content, the menu. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we copy what's in here, which is this image thing, and we push it over into this one. So we'll grab that, we'll go over here and we'll put that in. And we'll also add another thing in front of it. We'll say hash menu, just like the A tag, because we only want images in the menu to have this specific clip path added to it. Otherwise, it's going to do it to every single image on your page, and you don't want that. So we're just going to limit what we're doing, and we're just going to limit it to this specific area, which is the menu. The clip path will be circle clip path. The width of this can't be 200, so we're going to change this over to 50 because that's what we made the little tiger image in terms of its size. The grayscale will still be 1 and the opacity will still be 0.7. So everything else is correct. So we can save that, go back to our source code. So we're at this line, we're at line 6. And then we go over here, we go back. So this line is complete. Then we close the head. So we go over here. There's another bit of style stuff in here for a specific elephant, but that's where we close the head. So we're now back on track. Here's the body. Here's an image of the kitten. And in here is our div with the menu item of Amazing Animals. And what I'm going to do is just behind this, make some room, and I'm going to grab this whole image and the SVG stuff out of here. Because if you remember, that's this whole HTML bit. So I'm grabbing that whole HTML bit and I'm moving it into my specific area and into my menu area. I could put it in the body, but then it'll be ahead of the menu. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to put it in here instead. The kitten image isn't what I want, so it's going to be tiger. So that's basically my tiger image. And that's going to break the JavaScript, I just realized, but we'll fix the JavaScript and I'll show you how. And then here is where we change the image. So from the kitten image, instead of the kitten image, we're actually going to use the tiger button image here. So this is the image that we're going to basically put in there. So what we want to do in here is say that this is going to be a tiger button. Oh, actually, images folder. What am I doing? Images / tiger button. And it's good because I started typing tiger and I realized I was doing it wrong because Dreamweaver didn't give me this option to see what's in that folder. And so I knew I was doing it wrong, so I could go back, put images in, and then it's like, yep, I know where that one is, and here it is. So the clipping path on this SVG, which is the actual circle, needs to be smaller. So we need to say, again, half of whatever 50 is, because we had 200 before, so 100 was half of that. So we're going to say 25, 25, and with a radius of 25. So these are all the different parameters around that. And then we're just going to go over the design view, and we're going to click live. And there's that grayness happening. But my circle, whatever that is not actually applying to that for some strange reason. And that's probably to do with the fact that the circled path isn't being applied correctly to that. Right, so that's my image and that's my circle path. So the clip path it's not happy with, but that's all right. We'll get there eventually. The next thing that we want to do is we need to go back to here, and we need to make sure that we copy over that line, and that'll go just above the body. So we find the body at the bottom here. So after all these different divs, we get to the body section here, we put that script in. And then after that, after we've loaded this, we want to actually load in this specific script that we don't have in here yet. So that'll try and load in the index.js file, which we don't have. Now for that, I'm actually going to cheat. I'm going to go back to my folders. I'm going to grab this JS folder out of this downloaded version that we had. I actually don't need them anymore. So what I'll do is I'll then take this website folder and I'll put my JS folder inside here. So I've effectively copied out all that code that we had that's inside this index.js file, and I've added to this style file here those little bits and pieces that I had over there. So we're nearly done. So we'll just go back in here. Now if I click on index up the top, it should be able to find it. There it is. And when I said that I just broke the code, because in here I renamed kitten to tiger, this tiger button no longer links to our JavaScript code. So I need to change this kitten to say tiger. And so I'll just save that, go back over here, go to our live view, and then if it actually did work, we would see this working. So we've got that. Yep, we've got this one linking to the right one. We've got our style sheet here. We're trying to apply the clip path to all images within that menu. I could cheat. I could just see if I can attach it just to the tiger. See if that solves our problems. And then it's still not happy with this. Oh, you're just not happy with the lowercase. That's fine, we can change that. Whenever Dreamweaver has these little red things, it's just, yeah, not happy. Not happy with that. So when we fix it, it's a little bit happier. And then in here, what's it not happy about? Oh, it wants double quotes around this. So we'll put some double quotes around it rather than single quotes. I don't like little red line numbers here because it just means that Dreamweaver is upset. But they're all gone now, so we fixed that. All right, back in here, tween max, index, all set up. In here, we're unhappy. Okay, we're not really gonna do all those bits and pieces. We're not really missing a semicolon, really. I might copy this out from Codepen because I'm thinking that something copied wrong from the file. But am I still gonna get those errors? No, it's still the same, it's still upset. The reason it doesn't think tween max is defined and it's complaining is because it doesn't see this one, because Dreamweaver only sees it in live view. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save all of this. Go back to live view, still doesn't work in live view. I'm just going to go back to the browser and refresh this page. Yeah, see, it all works in here in terms of doing the clipping path around him, but our JavaScript's still not working for some reason. So that's a bit boring, really. Oh, that still says kitten. That's not good because I just copied it. See guys, this is why it's broken. I copied it after changing it. Let's just change this back to tiger. Let's just refresh this. And there we go. So it's a bit of a hassle because you're just trying to smoosh two things together, but we got there in the end. The whole idea around, learning this stuff is that eventually you wouldn't use potentially Codepen if you didn't need to. Codepen's great just to test things in isolation and to see if it would potentially work. In this case, we did some tests on the kitten, and then we moved it in here, and we had to change this to tiger, so it made some contextual sense. I've also had to make this change, which I want to undo. I'm going to go back to menu and image, because I want this clipping path on all of the images, not just this one tiger image. So I'll see if in live view it's still not happy, but if I refresh this, does it still work? Yes, it does. Okay. So Dreamweaver's preview is good and you can do a lot in there, but eventually you want to get to a habit of checking in the browser. So whether it's Firefox or Chrome, always go into the browser, check it out in there, and if it's working perfectly in the browser, then you know you're done. If it doesn't work in Dreamweaver, just check it in the browser just in case. Because Dreamweaver is a tool where you're building things, it doesn't necessarily always render things the same way as a browser would, and that can get you distressed for no benefit or no good reason. So just keep that in mind when stuff like this doesn't work. Just see if the browser picks it up and see if the browser's happy to kind of play with you in that sense. But we did some pretty tricky stuff here. We used some advanced CSS stuff with the clipping path to go around this actual image. We use this tricky JavaScript file which is called tweenmax, which is basically this big file, and I mean big, look at this file, it's huge, which does all the animation stuff. Then we wrote this bit of code to use the animations to give it those specific details around how quickly it does it and what to do with the grayscale, and then we applied it to a specific element within the page. So all up, a lot of little bits and pieces here, but again, we're just doing this for fun. We're building the Amazing Animals web page. What I might do is kind of pause and see where we're at in terms of adding new stuff and just consolidate some of these other bits and pieces so that we get the other images in and all of that on the next video. So it might be a bit boring, but I think it's important that we go through and just consolidate everything before we start adding any new stuff. So that's my plan. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you're happy for me to go along with that. And then what we'll do as well is tonight at 6, if you want to join me for the Collaborate session, that would be awesome. If you can't make it, please watch the recording. Again, we'll just go over assessment stuff in there, and that should hopefully, it's like hopefully and helpful. That should hopefully get you going very quickly with that last little bits and pieces, because I think we've covered up everything except for how to do the concept, so we'll look at that today. All right, well, again, thank you, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.